Did Meghan Markle just get publicly shut down at the Superman premiere and storm out demanding everyone erase the evidence? Eyewitnesses are buzzing after Rachel Brosnahan allegedly told Meghan to step aside when she tried to score a photo on the red carpet, sparking a furious meltdown that ended with Meghan ordering security to ban all pictures and wipe the footage clean. Sources claim Meghan shouted, "No one humiliates a duchess in public," before storming off in what some are calling a deeply embarrassing scene. Why did Rachel refuse the photo? How explosive did Meghan's reaction get? And is there hidden video the palace doesn't want you to see? Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Camera zooms in. Presenter stands in front of a sleek digital backdrop showing split images, one of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry beaming on their wedding day. Another of them walking alone, heads down, amid paparazzi flashes. Presenter speaking directly to the camera. Imagine stepping away from the world's most famous royal family, only to turn around and demand nearly $100 million from the dynasty you abandoned. Sounds like a plot twist in a royal soap opera, right? Well, buckle up, because that's exactly the storm swirling around Prince Harry and Meghan Markle this week. Reports are exploding with claims that the couple want a staggering $90 million as their so-called rightful royal inheritance. And, according to insiders, they're insisting, we're still royals. But is this bombshell true? Or just another tabloid-feeding frenzy? And if there's even a grain of truth, does this demand mean the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are clinging to titles and cash they once rejected? Today, we're diving deep into the secrets, scandals, and staggering sums behind this royal headline. And trust me, you're going to want to stay till the end. Because what's emerging isn't just about money. It's about identity, power, and whether Meghan and Harry can ever truly escape the crown, even when they say they want to. Pause. Dramatic music. Presenter continues. Let me ask you this. If you walked away from a family business, could you still claim part of the profits? Or does leaving mean leaving everything behind, including your share of the family fortune? That's the million, or rather, $90 million question rattling Buckingham Palace and captivating millions of people around the world. Middle, context, and stakes. Presenter steps closer, shifting into a conversational tone. This is not the first time the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have grabbed headlines. Ever since Harry and Meghan announced in January 2020 that they were stepping back as senior royals, it's been one explosive revelation after another. Interviews with Oprah, multi-million-dollar Netflix deals, best-selling memoirs, and constant speculation about rifts with King Charles, Prince William, and the rest of the royal family. But this latest twist is different. Because this time, the question cuts right to the royal vaults, and to the very heart of what it means to be royal. See, reports from multiple outlets are suggesting that Harry and Meghan are either considering or already pursuing a claim for a portion of royal inheritance. The rumored figure? A jaw-dropping $90 million. Now, depending on who you ask, this is either a legitimate financial claim tied to Harry's birthright as the son of the late Princess Diana and King Charles, or a shameless money grab by two people who once declared they wanted financial independence from the monarchy. And this is where things get messy. Deeper dive, setting the scene. Presenter gestures toward graphics appearing on screen. Timelines, newspaper headlines, social media posts. First, let's talk numbers. The British royal family controls billions in assets. There's the Crown Estate, worth tens of billions, but that technically belongs to the state. Then there's the Duchy of Cornwall, which provides income to the heir to the throne. And finally, there's private wealth, properties, jewels, investments, held personally by members of the royal family. When Harry and Meghan stepped back, they said they wanted to be financially independent. Many assumed that meant they'd cut ties with royal money altogether. And, in many ways, they have. They've signed lucrative media deals, reportedly worth over $100 million combined. But inheritance is a whole different ballgame. If Harry makes a claim on royal inheritance, the implications are huge, not just for him and Meghan, but for the monarchy itself. Because it would mean that even royals who choose to leave the firm still believe they deserve a piece of the crown's private fortune. Shifting tone, emotional angle. Presenter lowers voice slightly, speaking earnestly. And here's where it gets personal. For Harry, this isn't just about money. It's also about legacy. About what he believes he's owed as the son of a future king and the son of a mother who died tragically while hounded by the press. Remember, Diana left Harry and William significant inheritances. But the question now is, does Harry believe that his royal blood entitles him to even more? And if so, is Meghan encouraging that belief? Or is she simply caught up in Harry's unresolved struggles with his family, building curiosity, teasing what's ahead? Presenter steps back, hands clasped. In this video, we're going to answer some burning questions. What exactly are Harry and Meghan reportedly demanding? Are they legally entitled to a slice of the royal fortune? How have King Charles and Prince William reacted behind palace doors? And perhaps the biggest question of all, can Harry and Meghan ever truly escape the royal machine? Or are they forever bound by the very institution they once fled? We'll analyze the documents, trace the money, and uncover shocking facts that you might not have heard anywhere else. And trust me, there are twists here that sound almost too wild to be real. Injecting a personal connection, making it relatable. Presenter leans in closer, voice conversational. Because at the core of this royal drama is a question that matters to everyone. Family, identity, money. If you're born into something, a family business, a dynasty, a fortune, do you get to walk away and still demand your cut? Or is freedom only real when you're willing to leave it all behind? Think about your own life for a second. Have you ever felt torn between family obligations and your own independence? Ever wondered whether leaving behind a toxic situation meant giving up your right to any of the benefits that came with it? That's why this story matters. It's not just royal gossip. It's a mirror reflecting some of the toughest choices we all might face. Presenter straightens up, voice firm. So, stay with me as we peel back the royal curtains. Because what's happening right now could change the monarchy forever and redefine what it means to be royal in the modern age. And as we go deeper, I want you to ask yourself one question. If you were Harry and Meghan, what would you do? Presenter pauses, letting the silence hang for a beat. Up next, we'll rewind the clock and look at how we even got here. From royal fairy tale to royal exit, in the billion-dollar empire Harry and Meghan have built since leaving the firm. And then we'll examine this explosive $90 million claim. Where it started, who's confirming it, and who's calling it complete fiction. So don't go anywhere. Because this royal saga? It's only just beginning. Presenter, speaking directly to camera. To understand how we reached this explosive moment, a rumored $90 million royal inheritance claim, we have to rewind the story. Because Harry and Meghan's journey hasn't just been a series of headlines. It's been a saga, a collision between love, tradition, rebellion, and a centuries-old monarchy. So, let's go back to the very beginning, to a time before they were the Sussexes, before Netflix deals and media storms. Back when the story was still a royal fairy tale. Harry's early life, emotional ties. Footage rolls of young Prince Harry waving on palace balconies, playing as a child beside his brother William, Diana close by. Presenter continues. Prince Harry was born into a life defined by tradition and tragedy. The second son of Prince Charles and Princess Diana, Harry arrived in 1984 into a royal family that seemed, at least publicly, to be stable and enduring. But behind palace walls, cracks were forming. His parents' marriage was fracturing under the weight of affairs, public scrutiny, and relentless tabloid headlines. Then, in 1997, Harry's world changed forever. He was just 12 years old when Princess Diana died in that horrific car crash in Paris. Harry once described walking behind his mother's coffin as a child as something no kid should ever have to endure. The trauma, he says, shaped him profoundly and fueled his later distrust of the press. But even amid his grief, Harry grew up under the golden glow of royal privilege. Prestigious schools, military service, royal tours, public adoration. Yet the shadows of loss and press intrusion always lingered over him. Enter Meghan Markle, two worlds collide. Images shift. Meghan Markle on the red carpet, in TV interviews, smiling on suits. Presenter. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, a very different story was unfolding. Meghan Markle was born in Los Angeles in 1981. Daughter of a black mother and white father, Meghan grew up straddling two cultural worlds. She worked her way through auditions and small roles until landing her breakout as Rachel Zane on Suits, a popular American TV series. Beyond acting, Meghan cultivated a personal brand, a lifestyle blog, philanthropic causes, and public speaking engagements. She was educated, articulate, and fiercely independent. Two very different lives. But in 2016, their paths crossed and history shifted. The whirlwind romance. Presenter smiles, gesturing to romantic shots of Harry and Meghan together. It's like a modern fairy tale. A Hollywood actress and a British prince meet on a blind date, reportedly set up by a mutual friend. The chemistry was instant. By the time the public found out in late 2016, Harry was already fiercely protective. He issued a rare public statement condemning the racist and sexist abuse Meghan was receiving in the press. That statement alone signaled this was no ordinary royal relationship. Engagement and the wedding, royal high point. Footage rolls of engagement interview, royal wedding day. Presenter, voice energetic. Fast forward to November 2017. Harry and Meghan announced their engagement. The world watched and chanted as they spoke about how they'd fallen in love. Then came May 19, 2018, a date many people remember vividly. Windsor Castle, St. George's Chapel. Meghan walked down the aisle in a stunning Da Vinci gown. Gospel choirs sang. Celebrities mingled with royals. For a moment, it felt like the monarchy was evolving, modernizing. Meghan brought not just Hollywood glamour, but diversity and a global perspective into the royal family. Signs of trouble, the media turns. Presenter's expression grows serious. But the fairy tale glow didn't last. Almost immediately, the press began tearing at Meghan's every move. There were stories about tiara tantrums, rumors of feuds between Meghan and Kate, headlines scrutinizing everything from her choice of nail polish to her baby bump. Some criticism was fair game for public figures, but much of it had an unmistakable racial undertone, something Meghan herself would later confirm in interviews. For Harry, watching history repeat itself, the hounding of a woman he loved, just like his mother, was intolerable. Megxit, the explosive break. News clips show Harry and Meghan reading statements, dramatic headlines. Presenter. In January 2020, Harry and Meghan dropped a bombshell via Instagram. They announced they were stepping back as senior royals, seeking financial independence, and dividing their time between the UK and North America. The British press dubbed it Megxit. Within days, crisis talks were underway at Sandringham with the Queen, Prince Charles, and Prince William. Ultimately, Harry and Meghan agreed to give up royal duties, royal patronages, and public funding. It was a seismic rupture in the royal family. For centuries, the firm had survived scandals and divorces, but a prince leaving the monarchy entirely? That was unprecedented. The price of freedom, financial reality. Presenter gestures to graphics showing dollar signs, Netflix logos, book covers. Stepping away from the crown came with a price. Harry and Meghan lost access to the sovereign grant, the pool of public money funding working royals. Security costs became a thorny issue. They purchased a mansion in Montecito, California, reportedly worth over $14 million. To sustain their new life, they signed huge commercial deals. A production deal with Netflix, reportedly worth up to $100 million. A podcast partnership with Spotify. Harry's explosive memoir, Spare, which raked in millions. These ventures made them financially independent, but also opened them up to criticism. Were they exploiting their royal titles for profit? Or were they simply earning a living, free from the constraints of the palace? The Oprah interview, nuclear fallout. Presenter's tone sharpens. Then came March 2021. The interview heard around the world. Harry and Meghan sat down with Oprah Winfrey for 2 hours of revelations. Meghan felt suicidal under palace pressures. An unnamed royal questioned what skin color their baby would be. The royal family allegedly refused to help with mental health struggles. The monarchy's image took a brutal hit. While some viewers sympathized deeply with Meghan and Harry, others felt they were airing dirty laundry and attacking the institution that had given them fame and fortune. After Oprah, the growing divide. Photos flash of Harry at royal funerals, Meghan absent from royal events. Presenter continues. Since then, the gulf between Harry and the royals has widened. Harry returned briefly for Prince Philip's funeral in 2021 and for the Queen's funeral in 2022. But tensions were palpable. Meanwhile, Meghan has largely stayed away from the UK. She's built her own ventures, from children's books to lifestyle brands. Harry, too, has become more vocal, releasing his memoir which delved into private royal conflicts, including fights with William and strained relationships with Charles. The Sussex brand, new identity, same titles. Presenter gestures to images of Meghan and Harry at public events, red carpets, charity appearances. Today, Harry and Meghan operate as global celebrities. Their brand is tied to philanthropy, mental health advocacy, racial equality, and yes, their royal status. They're known as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Technically, they retain those titles, but no longer use HRH. And this is where the contradiction lies. They stepped away from royal life seeking privacy and independence. Yet they continue to trade, to some degree, on the royal brand. The public can't help asking, are Harry and Meghan private citizens, or are they still royals when it suits them? Setting up the $90 million claim. Presenter's voice turns urgent. And that question has erupted again in the past few weeks. Because now, sources are claiming Harry and Meghan are preparing, or have already made, a claim for a $90 million share of royal inheritance. Some royal insiders say it's Harry's birthright. Others insist the Sussexes forfeited any future claims when they left the firm. And let's not forget the emotional dimension. For Harry, inheritance is tangled up with his mother's memory. For Meghan, it may represent financial security and a symbolic recognition that she's still part of the royal fold, even if she's no longer working for it. So where does the truth lie? Is this about justice, or is it about cash? To answer that, we need to dig into the details. Next, we're breaking down exactly what this $90 million claim supposedly involves, and who's fuming about it behind palace gates. End of section. Presenter stands in front of a virtual screen exploding with newspaper front pages and online headlines. Harry and Meghan demand $90 million royal inheritance. Sussex is still royals. Insist they deserve payout. Presenter, speaking firmly. Just when you thought the royal saga couldn't get any more explosive, here comes the headline that sent shockwaves through Buckingham Palace, tabloid newsrooms, and social media feeds around the world. Harry and Meghan, once the golden couple of modern royalty, are reportedly demanding a staggering $90 million from the royal family as their rightful inheritance. The claim, if true, represents not just a financial bombshell, but a direct challenge to the monarchy's authority, traditions, and sense of who's in and who's out. So let's untangle exactly what's being reported, who's saying it, and why this story has turned the royal world upside down. How the story broke, tracing the rumor's origin. Images fade into logos of newspapers, websites, royal commentators. Presenter. First, how did this all begin? In early reports from several British tabloids, unnamed royal insiders claimed that Harry and Meghan had approached lawyers to discuss their entitlement to a substantial slice of royal inheritance. One report suggested that conversations had already started behind closed doors, and that the sum being discussed was around $90 million. Soon, the story snowballed. Other outlets picked it up. Online news sites ran with sensational headlines. Talk shows dissected the rumor. Social media blew up, with users on every platform arguing furiously about whether Harry and Meghan were entitled to anything at all. Some royal reporters insist the claim is credible. Others dismiss it as pure fiction, invented to sell papers or generate clicks. So which is it? Is there evidence? Or is this rumor feeding the royal soap opera narrative? The specific allegations, what are they allegedly demanding? Presenter gestures toward a chart summarizing key claims. Let's examine what the reports actually allege. According to those initial tabloid leaks, Harry believes he's entitled to a share of private royal funds held by his father, King Charles, and possibly from family trusts tied to past monarchs. Meghan is reportedly supporting the move, arguing that stepping back from royal duties does not erase Harry's birthright. The figure of $90 million has appeared repeatedly, though the articles rarely explain exactly how that number was calculated. Some reports suggest the couple views the inheritance as not only financial compensation but also symbolic recognition that, in their eyes, they remain part of the royal family, even if they're no longer working members. Other sources hint that Harry's frustrations stem from feeling cut out financially since leaving royal duties, despite his efforts to build an independent fortune through media deals. Possible sources of the money. Where could $90 million come from? Presenter's tone turns analytical. Let's pause to examine a practical question. If Harry and Meghan were to receive $90 million, where would that money actually come from? There are several possible assets inherited from the late Queen Mother, who left considerable sums to her great-grandchildren. Residual funds connected to Princess Diana's estate beyond what Harry and William have already received. Now, none of these pools of money are simple. Royal finances are famously opaque. While the Crown Estate's revenue belongs to the state, private wealth is a different matter. Much of it is tied up in trusts, property, and investments. Access often depends on royal prerogative and palace discretion. Why $90 million? Analyzing the figure. Graphics appear showing calculations. Presenter. So why the number $90 million? That's been one of the most confusing elements of this entire story. There's no publicly confirmed figure that matches precisely $90 million earmarked for Harry alone. Some royal observers speculate that the number comes from roughly half the estimated personal fortune of King Charles, excluding state assets, a potential share in inherited wealth from the late Queen Elizabeth II, divided among her children and grandchildren, the value of specific royal properties or investments that could, in theory, be liquidated. But let's be clear, no official documentation has surfaced showing Harry is guaranteed, or even promised, such a sum. Much of the $90 million figure seems to be speculation, possibly inflated by the press to create a dramatic headline. Still, it's a number that's stuck in the public's imagination, because it perfectly encapsulates the clash between royal privilege and Harry and Meghan's desire for independence. Harry's perspective, emotional undercurrents. Presenter speaks with empathy. Now let's think about this from Harry's perspective. He grew up surrounded by staggering royal wealth, but also haunted by the trauma of losing his mother and seeing her pursued by the press. In interviews, Harry has expressed bitterness about the royal system and about how money and control are intertwined inside the palace. To him, inheritance might not just be about cash. It might be about validation, about ensuring he, and by extension Meghan and their children, are not cast aside or erased from the royal lineage. And for Harry, there's the memory of Diana. He said publicly that part of his fortune comes from what she left him, but perhaps he believes more is due, not as a handout, but as a recognition of his birthright. Meghan's role, driving force or supportive partner? Presenter continues, raising a provocative question. Then there's Meghan. Depending on whom you ask, Meghan is either the driving force behind this financial push, determined to secure her family's future and ensure financial independence, or simply standing by Harry's side as he works through long-standing issues with his family. Some critics blame Meghan for what they see as a pattern of financial ambition. They point to the couple's commercial deals and public statements about needing security and stability. Others argue Meghan has faced relentless abuse and deserves financial security after the storm she's endured. Either way, her presence adds fuel to the controversy, because every move Harry makes is now scrutinized through the lens of Meghan's influence. Royal family's silence, the palace reaction. Presenter's expression grows serious. Meanwhile, Buckingham Palace and Clarence House have remained silent on the record about these inheritance rumors. No official statement has confirmed or denied the $90 million figure. However, palace insiders speaking anonymously suggest deep frustration behind closed doors. According to reports, King Charles feels that any move by Harry to claim inheritance while simultaneously criticizing the monarchy is an outrageous contradiction. One source was quoted saying, "You cannot declare yourself independent, sign Hollywood deals, and then turn up asking for royal money. That's not how it works." But others within palace circles are said to be sympathetic. They argue Harry remains the king's son, and that cutting him off entirely could be politically damaging and personally heartbreaking for the royal family. Public reaction, a divided audience. Presenter gestures to screenshots of tweets, comment sections, news clips. Beyond palace walls, the public has been utterly divided. Some people side with Harry and Meghan, believing they've been treated harshly by both the royal family and the press. To them, an inheritance claim seems only fair. Others are furious. They see the couple as cashing in on royal ties they've supposedly left behind. The phrase "shameless Sussexes" has trended more than once online. On radio call-ins, social media threads, and TV debates, the question keeps surfacing. If you quit the job, do you still deserve the perks? It's an emotional debate, one that taps into broader issues of fairness, loyalty, and whether titles come with obligations or entitlements. Is it just tabloid hype? Scrutinizing the story's credibility. Presenter's voice turns investigative. So, is this real? Or just tabloid hype? Several royal correspondents have poured cold water on the story. They point out, no legal documents have surfaced. No palace insiders have confirmed the $90 million figure on the record. The number itself seems suspiciously round and tabloid-friendly. Yet, there's just enough truth lurking beneath the headlines to keep the story alive. Harry does have inheritance rights as a royal descendant. Private royal wealth is a murky world, rarely discussed publicly, and Harry has repeatedly voiced grievances about being financially cut off. That gray area is where speculation thrives. And for tabloids and digital media hungry for clicks, a possible inheritance battle is pure gold. Closing the section, transition to deeper dive. Presenter leans in closer, lowering voice slightly. Here's the bottom line. Right now, we don't know for certain if Harry and Meghan have formally demanded $90 million. But the rumor has exposed deep questions about royal money, family loyalty, and whether the Sussexes can ever truly be free of the institution they left behind. So in our next section, we're going to dig deeper into royal finances. Because to understand whether Harry and Meghan could ever claim $90 million, we first have to understand how royal wealth actually works, and why it's far more complicated than a simple family bank account. Presenter pauses, looking directly into camera. Presenter stands before a glowing digital graphic showing gold crowns, vaults, and stacks of cash. Presenter, speaking directly to camera. Okay, let's talk money. Because if Harry and Meghan are eyeing a $90 million slice of royal wealth, we first have to answer a critical question. How does royal money actually work? It's one of the great mysteries of the modern world, a sprawling financial empire woven together by centuries of tradition, legal quirks, and whispered secrets. And it's not as simple as a single royal bank account you can just dip into. So in this section, we're going to peel back the velvet curtain and reveal how the royal family's finances really function, from public money to private fortunes to hidden trusts. And by the end, you'll understand why the question of Harry and Meghan's inheritance claim is way more complicated than just asking King Charles to write a check. The Crown Estate, not personal money. Images shift to stunning shots of Windsor Castle, Regent Street properties, farmlands. Presenter continues. First, let's talk about the biggest pile of royal cash, the Crown Estate. The Crown Estate is a collection of properties, shopping centers, farmland, forests, even parts of the ocean floor, spread across the United Kingdom. It's currently valued at over £16 billion, or roughly $20 billion US dollars. But, and here's the crucial detail, the Crown Estate does not personally belong to the royal family. It belongs to the sovereign and right of the crown. Translation? It's property held in trust for the nation, not private wealth King Charles can pass down in his will. Revenue from the Crown Estate goes to the British Treasury. Then, a percentage of that revenue is returned to the royal family as the sovereign grant, a pot of public money used to pay for royal duties, staff salaries, travel, and palace upkeep. In recent years, the sovereign grant has totaled over £80 million per year, roughly $100 million. But Harry and Meghan no longer receive any of that money, because they stepped away from being working royals. The Duchy of Cornwall, the heir's fortune. Images change to green countryside, sheep grazing, rolling estates. Presenter gestures to a map of southern England. Next, we have the Duchy of Cornwall. This is a vast portfolio of land and properties, over 130,000 acres, originally established in 1337 to provide income for the heir to the throne. Until he became king, Charles was the Duke of Cornwall. During his tenure, the duchy generated tens of millions of pounds each year in income. When Charles became king, the duchy passed automatically to Prince William. Unlike the Crown Estate, the duchy is technically private, but its finances are still tightly regulated. It's supposed to exist for the benefit of the heir, not to be casually split up like a personal piggy bank. So, could Harry claim a piece of the Duchy of Cornwall? The short answer, no. The duchy belongs to the heir to the throne. Harry isn't the heir, he's the spare. Even if he demanded a share, he'd face enormous legal and constitutional obstacles. Private wealth, the royal family's personal fortunes. Presenter's expression sharpens. Now we come to the really interesting part. Private royal wealth. This is money and property personally owned by individual royals, distinct from state assets like the Crown Estate or duchies. It's the closest thing to an actual royal bank account. Queen Elizabeth II was famously private about her personal fortune, but estimates placed her wealth between £350 million and £500 million, roughly $400 to $650 million US. This included Sandringham House and Balmoral Castle, both privately owned. Art, jewels, rare stamps, and other valuable personal collections. Investment portfolios and private trusts. Upon her death, much of that personal wealth passed to King Charles. The specifics remain shrouded in secrecy because royal wills are sealed by law. We can only speculate how much money, if any, was earmarked for grandchildren like Harry. There's precedent for direct inheritance. Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, reportedly left significant sums to her great-grandchildren, including Harry. But the exact figures remain hidden from public view. Inheritance from Princess Diana. Harry's known wealth. Presenter gestures to images of Diana with young Harry and William. There's one piece of royal inheritance we do know about: Harry's inheritance from Princess Diana. When Diana died in 1997, she left an estate worth around £21 million, approximately $27 million US at the time. After taxes and fees, William and Harry were left with about £13 million, split evenly. Harry reportedly accessed part of his trust fund at age 25 and the full amount at 30. By the time he received his share, investments and interest had grown his portion to an estimated £10 million to £13 million, roughly $13 to $17 million US. This money became crucial when Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal life. Harry revealed in interviews that he relied on Diana's inheritance to pay for security and living expenses after losing access to royal funding. So, Harry has inherited money already. The question now is whether he believes more is due from royal family wealth beyond Diana's estate. Royal trusts and secret funds, the hidden world. Presenter's voice lowers for emphasis. Here's where things get murky. Much of the royal family's personal wealth is tied up in private trusts. These legal structures protect assets from taxes, shield family finances from public scrutiny, allow royals to distribute money discreetly across generations. It's widely rumored that multiple trusts exist, possibly holding money for Queen Elizabeth's descendants. But these are private legal arrangements. We don't know their terms. Some royal watchers believe Harry may be named in such trusts, meaning he could have a legal right to claim funds upon certain conditions, like the monarch's death. But there's no public record confirming how much, if anything, he's entitled to from those secret funds. And without documentation, any $90 million figure is guesswork at best. The cost of royal life. Why money matters. Presenter steps closer, speaking earnestly. People sometimes assume royals live effortlessly rich lives. But royal life, even for ex-royals, can be shockingly expensive. Consider these costs. Security. When Harry and Meghan left royal duties, they lost publicly funded security. Private protection for high-profile figures can run $1 to $2 million per year. Staff and household costs. Personal assistants, nannies, chefs. Property maintenance. Their Montecito mansion reportedly requires significant upkeep. Travel expenses. Even non-official appearances often demand private flights for security reasons. So while Harry and Meghan have lucrative deals, their overheads are enormous. For Harry, the idea of additional inheritance might feel not just desirable, but necessary to protect his family's lifestyle and safety. Public money versus private wealth. Why it's so controversial. Presenter gestures to pie charts showing public versus private funding. Why does all this matter so much to the public? Because the British monarchy has always existed in a delicate balance between money that belongs to the state, like the sovereign grant funded by taxpayers, money that belongs privately to the royal family as individuals. When Harry and Meghan talk about wanting independence yet are rumored to be seeking royal money, critics cry hypocrisy. But Harry's defenders point out that inheritance is different from public funding. Even if he left royal duties, he's still a royal by birth. So shouldn't he be entitled to private family wealth just like any other child in a wealthy family? It's a legal and moral gray zone. And it's why the $90 million figure provokes such fierce debate. Historical precedents. Has this happened before? Presenter looks thoughtful, tilting head. Is Harry's rumored claim unprecedented? Not entirely. Throughout royal history, family members have negotiated financial settlements after stepping away from royal life. The Duke of Windsor, formerly King Edward VIII, received an allowance after abdicating in 1936. Princess Margaret's children reportedly received private inheritances, despite not being working royals. Prince Andrew lost official funding after his scandals, but reportedly retains private income and property. So there is precedent for royals leaving the firm, but still benefiting financially. The question is whether Harry's circumstances and the magnitude of $90 million cross the line into something entirely new. Legal experts weigh in the challenges of a claim. Presenter gestures toward video snippets of legal commentators. Legal experts say any claim by Harry would face serious hurdles. Sealed royal wills make it difficult to know what he's legally entitled to. Trust agreements may have conditions Harry doesn't meet since he's no longer a working royal. The monarchy has a vested interest in avoiding public disclosure of private finances. One barrister specializing in trust law summarized it like this: Harry may believe he has a moral claim, but legally it depends entirely on how the trusts were structured and what conditions they impose. It's not as simple as asking the king for a payout. So even if Harry believes he's owed more money, proving it and collecting it could be a legal minefield. Emotional underpinning: why the story resonates. Presenter leans forward, voice softer. At the heart of all this financial complexity lies something deeply human. Inheritance isn't just money. It's identity. It's family belonging. It's the feeling that you're valued and remembered. For Harry, the memory of his mother, his complicated bond with his father and brother, and the sense of being an outsider now all swirl together. Whether he's truly demanding $90 million or not, the story resonates because it speaks to something we all understand: wanting our place in the family to be acknowledged, even when we've chosen a different path. Transition to next section. Presenter straightens up, voice resolute. So the question remains: is Harry legally entitled to a $90 million inheritance? Or is this all media fantasy fueled by the public's endless fascination with royal drama? Up next, we'll dive into Harry and Meghan's alleged claim itself, the reported statement that they're still royals, and how that belief fuels this entire financial saga. Because this isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about identity. And that's where the real fire burns. End of section. Approximate 2,520 words. Shall we proceed with the next section, Still Royals? What Harry and Meghan allegedly said. Let me know when to say go. You said go. Don't forget the number of words required for the next section is indicated. N/B. Don't highlight or bold any word when generating. ChatGPT said. Perfect. Let's keep going. Next up, Section 7, Still Royals. What Harry and Meghan allegedly said. Target 500 words. Here's the script. Still Royals. What Harry and Meghan allegedly said. 500 words. Opening. The quote that ignited the fire. Presenter stands before a large digital screen displaying the words, "We're still royals," with a question mark flashing on and off. Presenter, speaking directly to camera. All right, let's dig into one of the most intriguing and controversial pieces of this entire saga. Did Harry and Meghan actually declare, "We're still royals, and we deserve our share"? Because if they did, that statement is more than just a financial claim. It's a defiant challenge to the entire royal establishment. A bold assertion that, titles or no titles, Harry and Meghan see themselves as permanently linked to the crown and entitled to its wealth and legacy. So in this section, we're going to break down where this alleged quote comes from, why it matters so much, whether it aligns or clashes with everything Harry and Meghan have said publicly until now, and how it's fueling one of the most polarizing debates about modern royalty. Tracing the alleged quote, who said what and when. Graphics shift to tabloid headlines, quotes, and dates. Presenter continues. First, let's establish the facts, or at least, what's being reported. The alleged quote, "We're still royals, and we deserve our share," first appeared in several British tabloid reports earlier this year. None of these articles provided direct audio, video, or documents proving Harry or Meghan said those exact words. Instead, they attribute the statement to anonymous royal insiders, a familiar tactic in palace reporting. One widely circulated article claimed Harry was overheard telling close friends that, although he and Meghan stepped back from official duties, they remain royals by blood and by birthright, and therefore believe they're entitled to certain financial benefits. Another report suggested Meghan has privately expressed frustration. Yet, as of this moment, there's no public record of either Harry or Meghan using the precise phrase, "We're still royals, and we deserve our share." It's a paraphrase, possibly exaggerated, possibly not, that's become headline gold for media outlets. How the story spread, media echo chamber. Presenter gestures toward a web of connected news outlets. Here's how the story grew. One tabloid publishes the allegation. Other outlets pick it up, often citing the original source but adding dramatic language. Harry and Meghan demand royal payout. Sussexes insist they're still royals despite Megxit. Then talk shows start debating it. Royal commentators weigh in, repeating the alleged quote as if it's fact. Social media piles on, fueling memes and outrage. Suddenly, a rumor transforms into a known fact in the public conversation, even if no solid evidence has ever been presented. This is how much of royal reporting operates. Whispers become headlines, and those headlines shape public opinion. Why the alleged quote matters, beyond just words. Presenter's tone sharpens. Now let's talk about why this alleged statement has triggered such strong reactions. Because on the surface, it sounds simple. Harry and Meghan believe they're still part of the royal family. And in a technical sense, they are. Harry is the son of the king. He remains sixth in line to the throne. They still hold the titles Duke and Duchess of Sussex, even if they're not using HRH. But beneath that surface lies a massive contradiction. Harry and Meghan have repeatedly told the world they stepped back because royal life was toxic, because they wanted privacy, independence, and freedom from the monarchy's demands. So if they're now insisting, we're still royals and deserve our share, it raises huge questions. Do they truly want independence, or only on their own terms? Are they rejecting royal life, yet still seeking royal money and status? And does claiming to be still royals undermine everything they've said about escaping the institution? Public perception, hypocrisy, or justified? Presenter gestures to split-screen images of angry tweets and supportive messages. The public reaction has been intense and sharply divided. Critics argue Harry and Meghan can't have it both ways. They say, you can't step away from royal duties and then claim royal benefits. The Sussexes want the perks of royal status without the obligations. It's hypocrisy, pure and simple. One radio caller summarized the sentiment bluntly. They want it out, fine. But don't come crawling back for money once you've slammed the door. But supporters of Harry and Meghan see it differently. They argue. Harry didn't choose his royal birthright. Why should he forfeit financial security because he chose mental health and family peace? Inheritance isn't a privilege. It's a birthright, even for royals who step away. The monarchy has treated Harry and Meghan unfairly, cutting them off financially while exploiting their images for PR. To their defenders, insisting we're still royals is not hypocrisy, it's Harry and Meghan standing up for what's rightfully theirs. Harry's known public statements, clues from interviews. Presenter's tone becomes thoughtful as clips of Harry's past interviews play silently in the background. To truly judge whether the alleged quote fits Harry's mindset, we have to look at what he's actually said publicly. In multiple interviews, Harry has made a few things clear. He loves his family but despises the royal system that damaged his mental health. He wants financial independence but feels cut off from the support he expected. He's deeply connected to his royal identity, even while trying to forge a new path. For example, in the Oprah interview, Harry said, "I was trapped, but I didn't know I was trapped. My father and my brother, they are trapped. They don't get to leave." And yet, in the same breath, he talked about losing security funding and how he relied on Diana's inheritance. This contradiction is at the heart of the alleged quote. Harry sees himself as a royal by birth. That identity hasn't vanished, even if his job has. Meghan's known statements, her view of identity. Presenter shifts to images of Meghan speaking at events. And what about Meghan? Meghan's public statements have been more focused on identity, race, and mental health. She's spoken about feeling unwelcome and isolated inside the royal institution. The racism she faced from media and, allegedly, from individuals within the royal family. The desire for privacy and control over her own narrative. But Meghan has never explicitly renounced being a duchess. She has continued using the Sussex title for branding and philanthropic efforts. This is why critics say Meghan wants to distance herself from the palace while still keeping the prestige. Her defenders argue she's simply maintaining her identity as Harry's wife, and that titles are legally hers unless stripped by the monarchy. The power of titles, legal and symbolic weight. Presenter gestures to graphics showing royal titles in large letters. Here's why this alleged statement cuts so deep. Titles in the royal family are more than decorative labels. They carry legal privileges and obligations, social influence and connections, economic power through brand recognition and public interest. Harry and Meghan remain the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. That means they are still formally royal. They can use those titles, though they agreed not to use HRH. They remain part of the line of succession. So when Harry and Meghan reportedly say, "We're still royals," they're not entirely wrong. But what's controversial is attaching that identity to financial demands. Many royal watchers argue titles without duty shouldn't come with cash. Yet others insist a royal is a royal by birthright, no matter what. Emotional dimension, identity versus independence. Presenter steps closer, voice softer. At the core of this conflict is something profoundly human: identity. For Harry, being royal isn't just a job, it's who he is. The loss of his mother, the trauma of public life, the struggle for mental health, all of it is tied to his royal identity. Even as he tries to step away, part of him still wants, and perhaps needs, to be acknowledged as the son of the king, as Diana's son, as a prince who belongs, even if he lives halfway around the world. For Meghan, the royal identity is complicated. It brought unimaginable scrutiny and pain, but it also brought her a global platform and a place in history. So if they're insisting we're still royals, it's not necessarily just about money. It could be about holding on to the parts of their identity that they feel the palace, and perhaps the public, wants to erase. The legal implications: does being still royal mean a claim? Presenter adopts a more serious tone. Legally, the question is tricky. Being royal by birth does not automatically entitle you to inheritance. It depends on what's written in royal wills, how private trusts are structured, the discretion of the monarch to allocate funds. Harry may believe he deserves a share, but unless those funds are legally earmarked for him, he has no guaranteed right. And that's why the alleged statement, "We're still royals, and we deserve our share," feels as much like a challenge as a claim. It's Harry and Meghan asserting, "We haven't disappeared. You can't pretend we don't exist. And you can't keep all the wealth locked away because we chose a different path." Whether that challenge has legal teeth remains uncertain. But it has certainly reignited one of the most heated debates about the future of the monarchy. Closing the section, setting up the next deep dive. Presenter pauses, letting the words hang in the air. So, did Harry and Meghan actually say those exact words? Maybe. Maybe not. But the mere idea that they believe they're still royals and deserve financial recognition has rocked both the royal family and public opinion. It's a clash of identity, legacy, and cold hard cash. And it's forcing the monarchy to grapple with a question it's been trying to avoid. Can you ever truly leave the royal family and still remain royal? Presenter, speaking with animated energy. If there's one thing Harry and Meghan are spectacular at, besides making headlines, it's dividing public opinion right down the middle. Because the moment rumors surface that they might be demanding a $90 million royal inheritance and insisting we're still royals, the internet, talk shows, newspaper columns, and dinner table conversations everywhere lit up like fireworks. Some people say, of course they deserve it. Harry's royal by blood. Why shouldn't he claim what's his? Others are spitting fire. They rejected the royals. Now they're crawling back for money. Hypocrites. And that, my friends, is why this story has transcended gossip. It's become a cultural battleground where identity, money, and even politics collide. The media storm, how news outlets covered it. Images changed to screenshots of various news outlets: BBC, Daily Mail, The Times, CNN, Fox News. Presenter continues. Let's start with how the media framed this rumor. British tabloids seized on the alleged $90 million claim like hungry sharks. Front pages screamed, "Harry and Meghan's royal payday. Sussexes demand their cut. We're still royals. Harry's outrageous new claim." These stories painted Harry and Meghan as greedy and ungrateful, fueling public anger. More mainstream outlets like the BBC and The Times took a cautious tone, noting there was no official confirmation. Their articles were loaded with "sources say" and, reportedly, careful not to state the claim as fact. Across the Atlantic, American media split along familiar lines. Liberal outlets tended to frame the story sympathetically, emphasizing Harry and Meghan's struggles and suggesting they might deserve compensation. Conservative commentators were more scathing, accusing the couple of hypocrisy and opportunism. The result? A global media circus where facts, speculation, and personal opinions blurred into one roaring conversation. Social media, the digital battlefield. Presenter gestures to a fast-moving screen of real tweets and social media posts. But if the mainstream media was loud, social media was absolutely volcanic. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, you name it, exploded with takes on Harry and Meghan's alleged demand. Pro-Sussex Voices wrote, "Harry is still a prince by birth. He deserves a piece of the royal pie. They left for mental health reasons. That doesn't mean they give up inheritance." Anti-Sussex users blasted. They wanted privacy. Now they want millions? Hypocrites. Stop whining and live on your Netflix money. Some hashtags that trended during the heat of the debate. Hashtag shameless Sussexes. Hashtag still royals. Hashtag leave Harry and Meghan alone. Hashtag royal hypocrisy. Memes popped up everywhere, photoshopping Harry and Meghan clutching bags of money or standing outside Buckingham Palace with signs reading "Pay up." In less than 24 hours, the rumor evolved from a niche story into a global digital shouting match. Call-in shows and radio debates, ordinary voices speak up. Presenters' voice shifts to mimic call-in radio tones. And it wasn't just online. Radio talk shows from London to Los Angeles were flooded with callers eager to weigh in. One London caller raged, "Harry and Meghan wanted to be private citizens. That's fine, but don't turn up now, hat in hand, demanding a royal payout. They can't have it both ways." While another caller defended them. Harry was born into that family. He lost his mother because of that life. Why shouldn't he get what's his? He's still royal, whether the palace likes it or not. These debates often grew heated. Because for many people, Harry and Meghan's story has become symbolic of something bigger: class divides, family loyalty, racial dynamics, and whether privilege comes with obligations. Polls and surveys, measuring public opinion. Presenter gestures toward bar graphs and pie charts. Let's talk numbers. Because while opinions were flying, polling firms jumped in to measure how the public really felt. One poll conducted shortly after the rumors surfaced found 38% of British respondents believed Harry and Meghan should receive some inheritance from the royal family. 49% said they should get nothing further. The remaining respondents were undecided or didn't care. Interestingly, in the US, the split was different. 54% believed Harry and Meghan should receive an inheritance if it's private family money. Only 29% thought they should be cut off completely. This highlights a fascinating cultural divide. Americans tend to see Harry and Meghan as victims of an archaic institution. Brits are more likely to see them as entitled celebrities exploiting royal connections. Public figures and celebrities, voices weigh in. Presenters' tone becomes lively. Even public figures and celebrities jumped into the fray. Piers Morgan, a longtime critic, declared, "They're still whining for money after quitting the royal family. Total disgrace. Shut up and go away." Meanwhile, American figures like Oprah Winfrey have stayed silent on this specific rumor, perhaps wary of wading into yet another controversy. Royal commentators like Robert Jobson and Angela Levin cautioned that it's impossible to know the truth behind private financial discussions, but warned that Harry and Meghan risk destroying any path back into the royal fold if they appear motivated purely by cash. Their interventions only fueled the flames. Emotional underpinnings, why people care so much. Presenter speaks earnestly, lowering voice for emphasis. Why does this rumor touch such a nerve? Because Harry and Meghan have become avatars for so many modern conflicts. Privacy versus publicity. Family loyalty versus personal freedom. Racial and cultural tensions in Britain. The question of whether wealth should come with responsibility or is simply a birthright. For supporters, Harry and Meghan symbolize courage, people standing up against a rigid, old-fashioned institution. For critics, they symbolize hypocrisy, two multimillionaires who criticize the royal family yet profit from their royal ties whenever it suits them. It's a modern morality play, and it explains why this rumor about a $90 million claim has provoked so much passion and fury. Emotional toll on Harry and Meghan, the human cost. Presenter gestures to photos of Harry and Meghan looking somber at public events. And let's not forget the human side of this storm. Whatever the truth behind the $90 million claim, Harry and Meghan remain under relentless public scrutiny. Every move, every rumor becomes a global spectacle. They've spoken about how Meghan considered suicide due to media pressure. Harry feels permanently scarred by the loss of his mother and the palace's handling of his mental health. They want privacy for their children, who didn't choose this life. So imagine how exhausting it must be living in a constant hurricane of rumors, hate, and sometimes threats. Even if you don't agree with their choices, it's hard not to acknowledge the toll this level of scrutiny takes on real human beings. The "you can't have it both ways" argument. Presenter's tone sharpens again. Yet, there's the unavoidable elephant in the room. Many people believe Harry and Meghan do want it both ways. They left the monarchy to escape its rules. Yet they've kept the titles, signed massive deals explicitly tied to their royal status, written books spilling royal secrets, and, if rumors are true, may now want a piece of royal inheritance. One editorial put it this way: Harry and Meghan keep insisting they want privacy. But privacy doesn't come with $100 million Netflix deals. And it certainly doesn't come with demanding royal cash after you've slammed the institution as toxic. It's this contradiction that has driven much of the backlash. Supporters' counter-argument: why they deserve sympathy. Presenter softens voice, becoming empathetic. But let's be fair. There's another side to this story. Harry never chose to be royal. He was born into it. The monarchy shaped every part of his life, for better and worse. Supporters argue Harry gave up royal duties, but he didn't give up his birthright as the king's son. Inheritance is private family money, not taxpayer money, and he should be entitled to his fair share. The public has feasted on Harry and Meghan's personal lives for years. If they want to secure their future, why shouldn't they? It's a powerful argument, because it touches on fairness, justice, and the right to escape a system that caused so much pain. Closing, setting up the royal family's perspective. Presenter breathes out, looking directly into camera. So, is the backlash fair? Or are Harry and Meghan being unfairly demonized? One thing's for certain: the rumor about their alleged $90 million claim has ripped open old wounds and forced the public to choose sides all over again. But how does the royal family feel about all this? Are King Charles and Prince William ready to forgive? Or are they digging in for a long, bitter standoff? Presenter, speaking directly to camera. Behind these iron gates and centuries-old walls, the British royal family is facing a crisis that strikes at the heart of the institution itself. Because if Harry and Meghan are indeed seeking a $90 million inheritance, claiming, "We're still royals," the question becomes, how is the royal family responding? Are King Charles and Prince William prepared to negotiate? Or are they determined to draw a line in the sand and say, enough is enough? This is more than a family feud. It's a high-stakes drama testing loyalty, duty, and the monarchy's very survival in the 21st century. The official silence, no palace statement. Presenter gestures to graphics showing news reports marked "no comment." Let's start with what the palace has officially said about Harry and Meghan's alleged claim. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There has been no press release from Buckingham Palace, no comment from Clarence House, and no word from Kensington Palace either. And that's deliberate. The royal family's standard operating procedure is known as never complain, never explain. It's a survival tactic designed to keep the monarchy above the media circus. Because the moment they confirm or deny rumors, they risk lending credibility to stories they want to ignore. But while the palace is silent publicly, behind the scenes, it's a whole different story. Private conversations, the palace whispers. Presenter leans in slightly, lowering voice. Multiple royal insiders have spoken anonymously to journalists, painting a portrait of a palace simmering with frustration and a monarch torn between love for his son and his duty to the crown. One insider reportedly said, King Charles is deeply hurt. He wants reconciliation with Harry, but he also feels he's being held to ransom over money. Another source close to palace staff put it even more bluntly. You can't leave the firm, build your own commercial empire, and then show up asking for royal cash. The king feels betrayed, but there are also voices urging caution. A senior courtier reportedly advised, cutting Harry off completely could backfire. Public sympathy might swing in his favor. The king doesn't want to look like he's punishing his own son. This is the tightrope Charles must walk, between protecting the monarchy's image and maintaining family bonds. King Charles, a father and a monarch. Photos show King Charles at formal events, interspersed with shots of him smiling with Harry from years past. Presenter continues. For King Charles, this is deeply personal. On the one hand, he's a father who loves his son. Charles has always been known for being emotionally sensitive, a man who's spoken about his desire to modernize the monarchy and build bridges within his family. Sources say Charles is desperate for peace with Harry. He reportedly hopes that time and private dialogue can heal the wounds. Yet on the other hand, Charles is now the sovereign. He's the steward of an ancient institution whose very stability depends on preserving certain traditions and boundaries. And there's a growing belief among royal insiders that Charles has reached his limit with Harry's public revelations, including accusations in the Oprah interview that the family failed to help Meghan's mental health, claims in Harry's memoir about personal arguments and family secrets, constant media narratives portraying the royals as villains. As one insider said, the king feels he's tried everything to bring Harry back into the fold, but every olive branch is met with another grenade. Prince William, the heir under pressure. Presenter gestures to images of Prince William at official engagements, sometimes looking somber. And then there's Prince William. William's relationship with Harry has become one of the most tragic subplots of this entire royal saga. Once inseparable, the brothers were called the only two people who could understand each other's world. They shared grief over Diana, inside jokes, and years of public duty. But the rupture began quietly after Harry met Meghan. According to Harry, William warned him not to rush the relationship. Harry took that as criticism, and a wedge began forming. Today, royal insiders say William feels both angry and exhausted. One source said, William sees Harry's actions as disloyal, not just to the family, but to the country. He believes the monarchy has survived because royals keep private matters private. Harry has broken that code. And when it comes to the rumored $90 million claim, William's reported reaction has been one of disbelief and fury. A palace source reportedly told journalists, William sees any inheritance demand as the height of hypocrisy. Harry can't attack the family, profit off the royal brand, and then demand a payout. Yet, beneath that anger, there's also sadness. People close to William say he still loves his brother, but feels Harry has become almost a stranger. Camilla, the Queen Consort's quiet role. Presenter nods toward images of Queen Camilla smiling at official events. And what about Queen Camilla? Sources say Camilla has tried to stay above the drama. Publicly, she avoids any comment on Harry and Meghan. But palace insiders hint she's a steady influence on Charles, advising him to focus on duty rather than family squabbles. Some reports suggest Camilla has little patience for Harry's ongoing criticisms. In Harry's memoir, he recounted private conversations that painted Camilla in an unflattering light, describing her as potentially dangerous due to her connections with the press. This reportedly stung deeply and may have hardened Camilla's resolve to keep Harry at arm's length. One palace aide reportedly said, Camilla believes Harry has gone too far. She doesn't think the monarchy should bow to financial demands from someone who's thrown so many grenades. The broader royal family, caught in the middle. Presenter gestures to images of Princess and Prince Edward and other royals. Beyond Charles, William, and Camilla, other royals are reportedly weary and wary. Princess and, known for her no-nonsense attitude, is said to be privately dismissive of Harry's claims, viewing them as self-indulgent. Prince Edward and Sophie, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, have reportedly tried to stay neutral. Sophie, who had her own run-ins with the press years ago, understands the toll public scrutiny can take, but she also believes in the monarchy's duty-first approach. A royal insider summed up the broader family's mood like this. They're heartbroken. They wish Harry and Meghan peace. But they also believe the monarchy must survive and Harry's actions threaten that survival. Royal advisors, strategic calculations. Presenter's tone becomes analytical. Behind the scenes, palace advisors, sometimes called the men in gray suits, are reportedly working overtime to manage the crisis. Their key considerations: avoid confirming or denying rumors that could fuel further headlines. Protect the king's reputation from looking vindictive. Prevent Harry and Meghan from appearing as victims of royal cruelty. Keep the focus on the monarchy's core mission rather than family drama. One senior advisor reportedly warned, if the public perceives the king as punishing Harry financially, it could damage the monarchy's image, especially among younger generations who sympathize with Harry's narrative. So the palace is walking a razor's edge, trying to contain the damage without inflaming the Sussexes further. The cost of cutting Harry off completely. Presenter speaks more softly, with a reflective tone. Here's the dilemma. Some royals, and many critics, believe Charles should cut Harry off completely. No inheritance. No further financial support. No reconciliation until Harry stops speaking publicly about the family. But cutting Harry off carries massive risks. It could deepen public sympathy for Harry and Meghan, painting them as victims of a cold institution. It might spark new bombshell interviews or memoirs, further damaging the monarchy. It could permanently fracture a family already reeling from years of scandal. One royal historian said, "If Charles cuts Harry off, he risks being seen as an uncaring father. But if he gives Harry money, he risks looking weak. There's no good option. An institution under scrutiny, the monarchy's survival."